be able to stop Iran from enriching its nuclear?
I don't know. I did think so, and I'm getting more and more less confident about it. They seem to be delaying, and I think that's a shame. But I'm less confident now than I would have been a couple of months ago. Something happened to them, but I am much less confident of a deal being made.
This is my video update on this Wednesday afternoon, June the 11th, coming to you from Athens, Greece. Let's talk about some news. And yesterday I mentioned that the EU has gone ahead and put together the 18th sanctions package against Russia. They have put the package together. It will now go for a vote to the EU Council. I believe the EU member states have to now approve the 18th sanctions package against Russia. And yesterday we had an official announcement of the 18th sanctions package from Ursula von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas. Ursula and Stunning and Brave, they announced the 18th punishing, as Politico calls it, the punishing sanctions package against Russia. And there was a lot of brain power in that room as Ursula and Kaja Kallas teamed up to announce how they are going to bring down the Putin. And Ursula, she posted on X, Europe is putting Nord Stream 1 and 2 behind for good. We also propose to lower the oil price cap from $60 to $45 per barrel. Oil is 1/3 of Russia's government revenues. We need to cut this source. We'll discuss how best to coordinate with partners at the G7 summit. Yeah, so they wanted to get this sanctions package out before the G7 summit. I thought they were going to announce this on the 18th. I thought the 18th, maybe the 18th is when they're going to vote on this. But I was thinking they're going to officially announce the sanctions package on the 18th of June because it's the 18th sanctions package. But they officially announced it yesterday. Maybe it goes for a vote to the member states on the 18th. Everything will be discussed and coordinated with the G7, the powerful, great countries, the great economies of the G7, Germany, the UK, France, Japan, Canada, the United States, the powerful countries of the G7, coordinating with the European Union to bring down the Putin. And Kaja Kallas saying that Europe is putting Nord Stream 1 and 2 behind for good. How convenient. We're not going to talk about Nord Stream ever again. ever. Let's not talk about it. Let's not deal with it. Let's not discuss the possibility of having it operate again, perhaps, so that we can get lower prices, energy prices. Nope. We are putting it behind us for good. Does that not tell you who was behind Nord Stream, the Nord Stream sabotage? That right there tells you who sabotaged Nord Stream. It definitely was not Russia or on the Russian side. It definitely was on the collective West side of things. Gilligan and the skipper. So $45 per barrel from 60, because 60 worked out so well. 60 worked out real well. I believe the price of oil today, at this moment, it has come down a bit. I believe it was at 68 or 69, maybe 70 today, but it was at 60, or at least in the imaginations of the collective West, of Ursula and Kaja Kallas. They had a price cap of 60, and now they're going to bring it down to $45 a barrel. My sources in Saudi Arabia, very close to MBS, my sources. They tell me that he called up Ursula and he said, absolutely, go ahead. OPEC is handing over the keys to oil prices, handing it over to you, Ursula and Kaya Kallas. That's what my sources tell me in Saudi Arabia. They've already given over control of setting the oil price to Ursula. So yeah, $45 a barrel. She says that that oil is 1/3 of Russia's government revenues, is what she said. And Kirill Dmitriev, who's in charge of the Russian investment fund, by the way, they're targeting the Russian investment fund in these 18th sanctions package. Kirill Dmitriev replied to Ursula saying, head of EU Commission at von der Leyen is ill-informed and bad at math. She claims Russian oil and gas make up 1/3 of Russia's budget. Wrong. It's 1/5. 8.3 trillion out of 38.5 trillion rubles for 2025. That's 21.6%, not 33%. If you're going to wage an economic war, at least get your numbers right. Ursula van der Math. It's 1/5, not 1/3, but Kirill Dmitriev is wrong. He is wrong because he has not factored in that in the European Union, at the European Commission level, they don't use regular math, they use Annalena Baerbock math. So it is 1/3 of Russia's budget. Kirill Dmitriev, you should have known this. So what is Politico saying? Let's go to Politico. They have an article with the title, EU announces punishing sanctions targeting Russian energy and banks. Our message is clear. This war must end, Ursula van der Math says, calling the sanctions robust and hard biting because the previous 17 sanctions packages were not robust or hard biting. Hard biting. I love the words that they use. I love their scriptwriters in Europe at the EU headquarters. I really, really like the work that they're doing. Very, very descriptive, very visual. Anyway, calling the sanctions robust and hard biting, van der Math said the Russian economy was already buckling under the pressure of the EU's past measures, and the new package would pummel it further. Kallas said it was clear that Russia does not want peace and needed to pay the price for its outright illegal war. Russia is cruel, aggressive, and a danger to us all, she added. It's very personal with Kaya Kallas. That quote alone tells you that for Kaya Kallas, trying to destroy Russia is very, very personal. Wow. Some diplomata never make diplomacy personal, Kaya Kallas. That's like rule number one. Russia is cruel, aggressive, and a danger to us all. That's what Kaya Kallas said. As far as Ursula, she believes that this is going to bring down the Russian economy. It's already buckling, she believes. The Russian economy is already buckling under the pressure of the EU's past measures, and the new package will pummel it further. The Russian economy is buckling from the 17 previous sanctions packages. It's at 4.5 or 4.3 or 4.8% growth. It's buckling. It's buckling hard. This is going to be the sanctions package that really pummels Russia. This is going to be the sanctions package that brings growth to over 5%. It's going to really, really punish Russia, this 18th sanctions package. So Slovakia, Fico, he already said that he's not going to vote for this sanctions package. He's going to vote a big no, at least until the EU gives him a plan as to how he will be able to replace the cheap, reliable, dependable Russian energy, of which the EU, Mr. Fico, Prime Minister Fico, they have no plan as to how to replace the cheap, reliable Russian energy. Well, actually, I'll tell you what the plan is. They're going to buy They're going to replace the cheap, reliable Russian energy with expensive, far away, kind of reliable US LNG and expensive, far away Russian LNG, Russian energy, but that's just been repackaged and sent by third parties. That's how they're going to do it. So you're going to buy either US LNG, Slovakia, and you're going to have to continue to build. The EU is going to continue to build LNG terminals, or at least that's what they say they're doing, and you're going to buy from the US, which is going to be much more expensive. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day Donald Trump wakes up and says, you know what, we have to keep our energy in the United States for national interests, for security interests. So we're not going to export LNG anymore. I don't know what Europe's going to do if Trump decides to do that. But anyway, other than the US, you're going to, well, you have Qatar, or you're going to buy the Russian LNG and Russian energy and Russian oil. But it's just going to be sold to you from, let's say, the oil from India at a much higher price. Same oil, same Russian energy, but sold to Europe via third parties, intermediary countries and suppliers at five times the price. That's the solution, Prime Minister Fico. So the Wall Street Journal, they put out an article with the title, Russia's top peace negotiator is a historian who justified the war. Vladimir Medinsky warns in an interview that Ukraine would lose more territory if it doesn't agree to Moscow's list of demands. This is true. Medinsky did tell Ukraine at the negotiations, it's Istanbul plus, it's 4 territories, plus Crimea, has to be recognized, internationally recognized, or else the 4 is going to turn to 8. This is true. He did say this, and he is, from what I understand, a historian, and a very good historian. But I'm noticing a narrative, a theme, coming out of the collective West when it comes to Medinsky. Well, first of all, they're saying that that Putin did not show up, and he sent Medinsky. Who's this guy Medinsky that he sent to the negotiations? If Putin was serious about peace, he would have shown up. I've already said that Medinsky was in the talks in Istanbul in 2022. He was the chief negotiator, and no one in the collective West had any problem with that back then. But now they have a problem that he's the chief negotiator this time around in Istanbul. But outside of the narrative that Putin did not show up and sent Medinsky, they're now saying that Medinsky is a historian. How dare Putin send a historian? Mark Rutte, in my video update yesterday, I talked about how Mark Rutte was mocking Medinsky by saying he's just some historian. Elensky says the same thing. Putin sent some low-level historian to Istanbul. Who this low-level history guy? Putin should be in Istanbul. I'm going to go to Ankara and then Albania, but Putin should be in Istanbul, Podolyak? Yes, Mr. President, you're 100% correct. Who cares about history, Podolyak? I like comedy. I like acting. Yeah, so now they're saying that he's just some historian. as if being a historian is a bad thing. They make it out to be like it's a bad profession. You don't have to be smart to be a historian, is how they're presenting it, which is completely false and ridiculous, because some of the smartest people in the world are historians, at least good historians. Good historians are super smart, and the collective West would benefit just a little bit. It would benefit just a little bit by knowing and understanding their history, right? Like maybe you don't poke the bear and start stuff up with Russia. If you knew your history, you would understand that you don't fight with Russia. Just saying. But nah, being a historian, not such a reputable profession. Being a historian, it's much better to be a comedian. In the case of Elensky, or who was leading the Ukraine. The Ukraine negotiating team. It was an entertainment lawyer, Yermak, Much better to have an entertainment lawyer at high-level diplomatic negotiations. Much more qualified. An entertainment lawyer is much more qualified at these types of negotiations. The collective West. What was Macron? Macron was a teenager theater guy, aspiring theater guy, who ended up becoming a banker, and was seduced by his teacher, right? Who was 60 or 70 years older than him or whatever. Whatever happened to Macron, I don't know. I'm exaggerating. But Trudeau was a theater guy and a ski instructor. He became Prime Minister of Canada for a long, long time. Ursula was a gynecologist, and then she became a failed defense minister, perhaps the worst defense minister in modern German history, right? She was an awful defense minister. And German parliament members have said that she was perhaps the worst German defense minister. Who else? Obama? Who knows what Obama was? He was a community organizer or something. So, I mean, I think being a historian makes you pretty qualified to enter politics and to negotiate and to be in government. Absolutely. Anyway, that's the article from the Wall Street Journal. Elensky gave an interview yesterday, and Elensky said that the reason that cities, he was talking about Sumy in this instance, but the reason that cities are not evacuated, Elensky said, is because if a city is empty, then it makes it easier for Russia to capture that city. A type of admission from Zelensky, if you want to look at it this way, it could be seen as an admission that Ukraine uses civilians as shields. They do not evacuate cities on purpose. A very, very interesting statement from Elensky, which is getting scrutinized quite a bit. So that's what Elensky said during this interview. He also said the reason that the sanctions have not been approved against Russia, the bone-crushing sanctions against Russia, is because Zelensky refuses to force 18-year-olds to go to the front lines. I believe the age would be 18 to 23 or 18 to 24. That's what Zelensky also said. Kiev's backers demanded Ukraine conscript 18-year-olds. Lowering the draft age was one condition for tightening sanctions on Russia, the Ukrainian leader has claimed. The real reason that Elensky, this might have been a reason. I'm not doubting him. I wouldn't be surprised if the Biden administration and the EU did tell Elensky, we're not going to put any more sanctions or give you any more money or weapons until you send 18-year-olds to the front lines. That would not surprise me. But the main reason I believe that he has not gone ahead and forced 18-year-olds to the front lines is because it's extremely unpopular. Extremely, extremely unpopular, and Elensky's worried that if he did such a thing, he could face some sort of removal from office. That's what I think is the real reason why he hasn't gone ahead with this. Keep in mind that Putin said last year that the collective West is keeping Zelensky in office so that he can lower the draft age. And once he does that, once he signs off the lowering of the draft age, Putin said that's when the collective West is going to get rid of him. So maybe he doesn't want to do this because Zelensky understands that once he does this, then the collective West is going to tell him to get lost, right? That's what Putin said last year. One final thing that the Green Goblin said is that Hungary is plotting against Ukraine. He said that Ukraine has infiltrated some sort of Hungarian intel agency plot in the Transcarpathia region, and Hungarian secret services and intel agents, they were in this region trying to figure out where the Ukraine military was positioned, trying to figure out where Patriot air defense was positioned. And Zelensky says that they infiltrated this Hungarian intel group operating inside of Ukraine, trying to sabotage Ukraine. And he said he has all of the information, and he doesn't release it yet, but he's warning Orban, stop opposing Ukraine, or else I will release this information. Look at the turtle, the tortoise. Look at the tortoise. Wow, he's huge. I don't want to scare him. I don't want to scare him. So let me see if I can just get around. There he is. All right. All right, let's leave him alone. Let's let him be. Wow, he's big. Big guy. Enjoy your day, my friend. Hanging out in the shade. All right, so yeah, he said he infiltrated this, Ukraine has infiltrated this Hungarian military intelligence operation, is what he called it, targeting Transcarpathia, targeting Ukraine's border vulnerabilities, and testing locals' response to peacekeepers. Elensky was hinting that in his statement, he was implying that Hungary may be looking at trying to take Transcarpathia. That's what he was implying in his statement. Orban fired back at Elensky, and he said, Elensky attacked us because Hungarians do not want to die for Ukraine. We do not want our children to return from the front in coffins and for Hungarian money to go to Ukraine. So that was Orban's response to Elensky's accusations. And keep in mind, Zelensky said that he has all the receipts. He said he has all the receipts, he has videos, he has documents, which allegedly show Hungarian military intel infiltrating Transcarpathia, which, as everyone knows, is Hungarian. A lot of ethnic Hungarians in this region. Panic, a lot of panic is starting to set in for Elensky. Huh? He is starting to panic. Let's talk about Los Angeles and Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom taking on U.S. President Trump. Newsom gave a speech yesterday. He addressed California, addressed the nation. At the beginning of his address, the audio was not working, but that was fixed. And the main message from Newsom in this major address was that democracy is under assault before our eyes. Democracy is under assault, said Newsom. Newsom is fighting for democracy. That's the message. This is not about immigration. The way this has been positioned, which is quite clever. It's quite clever the way they've positioned this situation in Los Angeles, which is spreading to other cities. And on June 14th, we're going to have marches, big marches, across I believe over 1,000 or 1,500 cities in the United States in protest of ICE. So it is spreading what's going on in Los Angeles. And there's a curfew as well. The mayor of LA, she put a curfew in place, 8 o'clock at night to 6 a.m. Do not go to downtown LA. But for the Democrats, for Gavin Newsom, They are positioning this as a fight against authoritarianism, against the authoritarian tendencies of Donald Trump. And Newsom is the champion of democracy. He's not only fighting for democracy in California, but he is fighting for democracy in the United States and perhaps even around the world. He is the guardian of democracy, the defender of democracy, the guardian of the galaxy. Gavin Newsom is the guardian of the galaxy. Anyway, he put out this message yesterday, and Politico put out an article which is very much what I have been saying about Gavin Newsom over the past couple of days, which is that Gavin Newsom is now the leader of the Democrat Party. He is the leader of the left. He is the leader of the Democrat Party. He is the anti-Trump White House guy. And the Democrat Party was having trouble trying to establish itself after the elections, the 2024 elections. The Democrat Party was in a whole big mess as a party, and they really did not have any direction. They didn't have any leader or any leaders, and now they've got it. They've got it in the man of Gavin Newsom. Politico. They put out an article with the title, "Newsom Gains a Step in Brawl with Trump. It'll help Gavin, especially if he gets arrested. The California governor had faded from national prominence as public attention shifted to Washington, and in his home state, the deliberations over Kamala Harris's political future." So this article goes on to talk about the leader, Gavin Newsom, the man that is leading the party, the Democrats, and according to Politico, much of the United States of America against Trump. That is how they are positioning this. That is what Politico is writing in this article, and it's important for the Democrats to have Gavin Newsom emerge as this type of anti-Trump politician. For the globalists, a lot of what's happening in Los Angeles is important, because for the globalists, they need people like Gavin Newsom in power. They're looking for leaders like Gavin Newsom to put in positions of power, just like they pick Macron or Trudeau or Ursula or Churchill #2. The globalists are always looking for these types of politicians that they can place in government, especially in positions such as president or prime minister. And that way, they get their agenda done. And of course, the United States is the most important country for the globalists. So absolutely, what's happening in LA is a lot about Newsom. For now, it's Newsom. We have a long way to go, but he's the guy that the globalists are now looking at. So let's talk about what Politico is saying here. These elements were found during the creation of the garden in the 19th century. They consist of an inscribed epistle, a marble column, 3 parts of a marble pillar, and a capital. They have been collected in this site by the Ministry of Culture. Athens. That's what Athens is all about. You're just walking around and you run into stuff like that. So, Politico, President Trump has catapulted Gavin Newsom to the front of the Democratic resistance. No longer is Newsom responding to criticism over fellow Democrats, over aligning with Republicans on transgender athletes, or proposing to scale back health insurance for undocumented immigrants. Instead, as Trump turns California into a test of his power to impose his will on blue states, Newsom is the Democrat standing in his way. We're at an inflection point in the country's history, said South Carolina State Rep J.A. Moore, a lawmaker who has been deeply involved in his state's early presidential primary politics. I see in this moment that the government is fighting like hell, not just for the people of LA or the people of California or even this country. He's fighting for democracy itself. The defender of democracy, Gavin Newsom. And they're already positioning him for his political run. Guardian of the galaxy, defender of democracy, Gavin Newsom. What else is Politico saying here? Let's sit down. All right. Politico goes on to say, but it's an issue, and the governor Democrats are seizing as they look to regain their political footing in Trump's Washington. And if the feuding is benefiting Trump, it may ultimately improve Newsom's prospects with his own base too. I think this is helping Trump broadly, said Mike Madrid, a California-based Republican consultant who opposes Trump. I also think it'll help Gavin, especially if he gets arrested, Rather than focus on immigration policies like California's sanctuary limits on cooperation between local law enforcement and the federal government, Newsom has framed the fight as a matter of safeguarding democracy against authoritarianism, a microcosm of Democrats' case against Trump and a key gauge of their ability to stop him. Yeah. It's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Gavin Newsom against Trump. Yeah. This is exactly what the globalists were looking for in the United States. They needed someone to take on America first. And for now, it looks like they've got their man. We'll see if Newsom delivers. We will see. The Democrat Party, they put out an image of Newsom looking very, very tough, very presidential. And underneath this image, it says, "Come and get me, tough guy." Come and get me, tough guy. That's become the rallying cry for the Democrats, according to the media. Come and get me, tough guy. Oh my God. I think the word is astroturfed. This all feels astroturfed, right? That's what's going on here. A lot of this is just astroturfed in order to push up Newsom. All right, some more news here. Some more news. Elon Musk, he posted today that he regrets what he posted on X. That's what Elon Musk said. I regret some of my posts about President Donald Trump last week. They went too far. They went too far. That's what Musk posted this morning. Morning my time, probably late evening his time, middle of the night his time. Pete Hegseth was speaking to Congress, the defense secretary, and he was asked about Project Ukraine, and Hegseth said that the U.S. is going to cut aid to Ukraine. That's what he told Congress. U.S. to cut Ukraine aid. Defense secretary, a peaceful end to the conflict is in Washington's interest, Pete Hegseth has said. So what's going to happen with Ukraine, what I believe is going to happen with Ukraine is that the U.S. will cut off the aid, the free aid. They will gladly sell. They'll be out of Project Ukraine, or at least that's what the Trump administration is going to say. They're out of Project Ukraine. No more money to Elensky. No more free weapons to Elensky. But They will gladly sell weapons to Europe, to Ukraine, and Europe will pay for it. And they'll continue to provide intel, because intel is, for the most part, it's cheap, right? It's cheap, and no one will really ask or know about it. No, the American voter is not going to really be concerned with the fact that the U.S. is going to be providing intel to Ukraine. And Trump will tell the neocons, I said this a while ago, Trump will tell the neocons, the military is going to get their money, so you're happy. I'll continue to provide intel to Ukraine, so that should make you happy. He'll tell America first, I'm not giving any free weapons or free money to Ukraine, so that'll make them happy. And the MIC will be happy because Europe's going to be buying weapons from them. I think that's going to be the end result of Trump and Project Ukraine, if I had to take a guess. Let's do a clown world, and we will wrap this video up. How am I doing on time? Yeah, I need to wrap this up. So going back to Gavin Newsom and his media team, they put out, his press team, they put out a video on social media with, yep, they did this. They put out a video on social media with Star Wars, stormtroopers and the Empire, Emperor Palpatine, reading one of Trump's Truth Social posts on the protests in LA. Palpatine's voice with stormtroopers in the background and the Empire and the Empire's spaceships in the background. Palpatine reading one of Trump's Truth Social posts. And one of the comments, one of the replies to this post on X was, "Bro, you got to stop making us look so good." I like that. He's kind of right. He's kind of right. It does sound pretty cool listening to Palpatine, right? Listening to Emperor Palpatine as he's reading a Trump post on Truth Social. That was a good reply from this guy. Let's give him a shout out. Who was this guy? George shitpost something. Pile of George. And Reuters is reporting that German intel is warning that Russia's going to send little green men to Estonia in order to test NATO. Russia could send little green men to test NATO's resolve, German intelligence boss writes. Yeah, little green men to Estonia, according to German intel. What information does German intel have? Nothing. Trust me, bro. That's their intel on all of this. Trust me, bro. Without detailing the nature of his intelligence sources, Karl, who is the intel boss for Germany, said Russian officials were envisaging confrontations that fell short of a full military engagement that would test whether the U.S. would really live up to its mutual aid obligations under Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty. They don't need to dispatch armies of tanks for that, he said. It's enough to send little green men to Estonia to protect supposedly oppressed Russian minorities. Bruno Kahl, who is the head of the Federal Intelligence Service. Trust me, bro, Russia's going to send little green men to Estonia to protect the oppressed Russian minorities. Well, stop oppressing the Russian minorities, Estonia, right? What are you doing oppressing people in the European Union? I thought the European Union was all about human rights and all of that stuff, right? Not when it comes to Russians. When it comes to Russians, there's no human rights in the European Union, apparently, or at least in the Baltic states. But it sounds to me as if Germany and Europe is crying out for attention. They're crying to the United States. They want attention. They're begging the U.S., please don't leave us. Please don't leave us. If you leave us, Russia's going to send little green men. They're going to send little green men to test you. Please don't leave us. Please keep the money flowing. We can't live without you, America. That's the message that German intel is sending to the U.S. They're desperate for attention. They want to know if the U.S. is going to dump them. They want to know, is the U.S. going to dump me? Are you going to dump us? We had it so good. We had such a good relationship. We were in love. We were in love. I thought everything was going well. You're not going to leave us, are you, U.S.? You're not going to dump us. If you dump us, Russia's going to send green men to Estonia. They're going to test you. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I'm wearing in this video update, a t-shirt with the flag of Canada. Oh, did you see that parakeet just fly by? He's up there. There's a link to the Duran shop in the description box down below. Take care.